All right, buckle up, because today we are diving headfirst into the world of strategic marketing with Allan Dib's, the one-page marketing plan.
Yeah, this one's a good one. I think our listeners are going to get a lot out of this deep dive.
This book is jam-packed with insights, and Dib is not afraid to tell it like it is, right?
Totally. He's got some great stories in here, too. Really keeps things interesting.
Right from the start, Dib talks about the importance of learning from the greats, standing on the shoulders of giants, as he puts it.
Exactly. He even quotes Steve Jobs, good artists copy, great artists steal,
Yeah.
to emphasize that we don't need to reinvent the wheel.
He even calls himself a collector of elegant ideas, meaning he's all about taking those proven marketing tactics and making them work for you.
It's like he's handing you this toolbox full of tools that have stood the test of time.
I love that analogy, and he makes this great point. Doctors, pilots, soldiers, professionals in high-stakes fields, they don't just wing it, right?
Of course not. They have meticulously crafted plans to navigate those challenges and come out on top.
Exactly. Businesses need that same level of strategic planning.
And that's where so many entrepreneurs go wrong.
They're so busy running around putting out fires they don't have time to plan.
He actually compares it to the A-team all action. Not a lot of strategy. And in business, that can be a recipe for disaster.
So true. So how do we avoid becoming B.A. Baracus in our own businesses?
Well, Dib introduces this really important concept, the 80-20 and 644 rules based on the Pareto principle. Ever heard of it?
Vaguely. Refresh my memory.
It's all about recognizing that a small percentage of your efforts often leads to the majority of your results.
So like 80% of your profits come from 20% of your customers.
Exactly. And that 80-20 rule applies to so many things. It could be 80% of your complaints come from 20% of your customers, or even 80% of software usage comes from just 20% of its features.
Okay, so what about the 644 rule?
Things get really interesting there. That rule takes it even further, suggesting that a whopping 64% of effects are produced by just 4% of the causes.
Wow, that's wild. So 96% of what we're doing is pointless.
It really makes us stop and think.
For sure. But how do we even know where to focus our energy?
Well, Dib even relates this to wealth distribution. Did you know the top 4% hold roughly 64% of the world's wealth?
It really highlights how impact and resources are so unevenly distributed. Okay, so much to think about.
Right. But then Dib brings us back down to earth with a simple definition of marketing, getting your message in front of the right people at the right time.
Simple, but powerful.
He uses great analogy. Imagine a sign that just says circus coming to town. That's advertising.
Okay, I can picture it.
But if you really want to grab attention, put that sign on an elephant and parade it through the streets. Now, that's promotion.
I love that.
It's about standing out from the crowd and making sure your message is impossible to ignore.
So what about all those big, flashy marketing campaigns we see from big companies?
That's where Dib gets real.
Yeah, I can feel intimidating.
He's very clear that those big companies are playing a different game altogether.
They have massive budgets.
Exactly. They're focused on brand recognition, not necessarily immediate sales.
And trying to replicate that on a small business budget?
Dib compares it to a kid peeing in the ocean. Not going to make much of a splash.
So how should we be thinking about reaching our customers?
He breaks the customer journey down into 3 key phases: before, during, and after.
Makes sense. So before would be like before they even know about you.
Exactly. Then during is when they're considering you,
And after is.
after they've made a purchase.
So it's not just about getting the sale, it's about what happens after, right?
Absolutely. Turning them into repeat customers.
Building those relationships, that's where the magic happens.
And that's what Dib calls creating raving fans. He's all about going above and beyond to exceed expectations and turn those customers into advocates for your business.
So how do we do that? How do we stand out in a crowded market?
Well, one of the things Dib talks about is niching down.
What do you mean by that?
He makes the point that trying to be everything to everyone just dilutes your message. It makes it harder to connect with your ideal customer.
Okay, I think I get it.
So instead of just being a photographer,
You'd be like a wedding photographer.
exactly, or a food photographer,
Oh,
or a pet photographer, by niching down, you can focus your expertise, tailor your marketing.
and become known as the go-to person for that specific thing.
Exactly. It makes it so much easier for your ideal customers to find you.
That makes sense. So once you've niched down, what's next?
Dib says you need a killer unique selling proposition, or USP.
And what's that?
It's basically the answer to the question, why should customers choose you?
And it can't just be because we're the cheapest, right?
Right. It's got to be something more compelling. Think about it this way. Why are people willing to pay a premium for a cup of coffee when they could easily get it cheaper elsewhere?
It's the experience, right? The atmosphere.
Exactly. So what makes your business's experience unique? Why should someone choose to do business with you instead of your competition?
I love that. So you're saying we need to create an experience people are willing to pay for.
Absolutely. And you need to be able to communicate that value clearly and concisely.
And that's where the elevator pitch comes in, right?
You got it. Can you explain what you do and why someone should care in the time it takes to ride an elevator?
Ooh, that's a tough one. But I get it. You've got to make it count.
And what's great is that Dib even gives you a simple formula to follow. Are you ready for it?
Hit me with it.
Okay, here it is. You know, problem. Well, what we do is solution. In fact, proof.
Ooh, I like that. It's simple but effective.
It forces you to really think about your ideal customer's pain point and how you can solve it in a way that resonates.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got our niche, we've got our USP, we've got our elevator pitch. What else?
Now we need an offer so good they can't refuse it.
I love that. Be irresistible. But how?
Dib says don't be afraid to wow your prospects.
Give them the royal treatment.
He uses a great example. Remember CD Baby, that online music store?
Yeah, what about them?
They took a boring order confirmation email. You know those emails everyone ignores?
Totally.
They turned those emails into this viral marketing opportunity.
How so?
They injected personality, humor, even after a free song download.
I love that. It's like turning a negative into a positive.
Exactly. And it's a great reminder that those little details can make a huge difference.
Okay, so we need to wow them with our offers. What about the actual words we use, our copywriting?
Dib has some strong opinions on that.
Oh, I bet. He seems like he's got something to say about everything.
He does not hold back. He says that most advertising copy is like that person at a party.
Who won't stop talking about themselves?
Yes, boring.
So what's the solution?
We need to speak directly to our customers' desires and fears. Use emotional triggers that grab their attention, motivate them to take action.
So instead of listing features,
Talk about benefits.
I like it. Talk to their hearts, not just their heads.
And don't be afraid to get a little creative. Dib's a big fan of what he calls lumpy mail.
Lumpy mix.
Yeah, it's about making your direct mail stand out.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So instead of just sending a flat brochure.
You send something lumpy.
Exactly. Think a personalized package with a book, a handwritten note, maybe even a small gift.
I love that. Talk about making an impression.
It's all about creating a memorable experience, even with your marketing materials.
So we've got to be creative, we've got to stand out, we've got to offer irresistible value.
And we've got to be a voice of value.
What does that mean?
Dib says that means sharing your knowledge, establishing yourself as an expert, and building that, like and trust factor.
Okay, so blog posts, articles, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And videos, podcasts, maybe even speaking engagements if you're feeling brave.
So becoming a go-to resource for your audience.
Precisely. And then on top of all of that,
There's more.
Dib also stresses the importance of strong business systems.
What, like having the right software?
That's part of it, but he's talking about something even bigger. He uses McDonald's as an example. Their success isn't just about the food.
It's about the system.
Exactly. They've got these standardized processes that allow them to replicate their success all over the world.
Okay, so document everything.
Exactly. Make it so your business can practically run itself.
And then Dib throws us a curveball. He starts talking about planning your exit strategy.
Right. It seems a little soon, but
Why is that important? We're just starting out.
he's got a point, though. Even if you don't plan on selling anytime soon.
You should still build your business like you might.
Precisely. It's about thinking long-term and building something sustainable that can thrive even without you.
So even if we never sell, thinking about an exit strategy can help us build a stronger business overall.
Exactly. It forces you to think differently about your business.
And speaking of building a stronger business, Dib talks about the importance of increasing customer lifetime value.
He's a big fan of getting the most out of those valuable customer relationships. After all, it's much easier to sell to someone who already knows and trusts you.
For sure.
He talks about things like strategically raising your prices.
Which, honestly, that's always a little scary.
It can be, but he makes a compelling case for it.
Like how?
Well, he says sometimes a higher price can actually attract a better quality client
Interesting. I never thought about it that way.
and fewer headaches in the long run.
Right.
He also talks about the power of upselling Think McDonald's and that infamous question, would you like fries with that?
It's so simple, yet so effective.
Right. And he emphasizes the importance of finding ways to reactivate past customers, those who may have fallen off the radar.
Stay top of mind.
Exactly.
So it's about constantly nurturing those relationships and finding new and creative ways to provide value.
You got it. And then, of course, we can't forget about what Dib calls orchestrating referrals.
Referrals music to any entrepreneur's ears.
For sure. And Dib is all about harnessing that word-of-mouth power.
But it can't be just hoping and praying people talk about your business, right?
Exactly. He's got some really clever strategies for encouraging those referrals, asking directly, offering incentives, making it super easy for customers to spread the word.
Word of mouth marketing on steroids.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about niching down, crafting a killer USP, creating irresistible offers.
Becoming a voice of value.
Oh, yeah. And don't forget about those systems.
And planning your exit strategy.
See, I told you this book was jam-packed.
And we're only just getting started.
Oh, there's more.
So much more.
And Dib breaks down those referrals into a pretty cool example.
Oh, yeah.
Like imagine one satisfied customer tells 10 friends,
Okay.
and then even if just half of those friends become customers, and then they each tell 10 more people.
You're talking about exponential growth.
Exactly, like word-of-mouth marketing on steroids. And you know what else can create a buzz?
What's that?
Branding.
Branding.
Yeah.
Dib is very clear that it's so much more than just a logo.
Right. It's like the personality of your business.
Exactly. It's the feeling people get when they interact with your company.
So it's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
100%. And this next part really resonated with me. Dib talks about building a business, not a job.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right? He's talking about creating something that gives you freedom, flexibility.
Not chaining you to your desk 24/7.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's all about delegating tasks, automating processes, focusing on the big picture stuff.
Working on your business, not in it.
Yes, exactly.
Love that. Okay, so we've covered a lot, but I know Dib doesn't stop there, does he?
Not even close. He throws in this really important point about staying ahead of the curve.
Okay, how do we do that? Things change so fast these days.
He uses a pretty powerful example to illustrate the horse-drawn carriage industry.
Oh, wow. Talk about a bygone era.
Right. And that's Dib's point. The business landscape can change drastically, practically overnight.
So those who cling to outdated models fail to innovate.
They get left behind.
It's a cautionary tale, for sure. But I trust Dib doesn't just leave us hanging with a warning, right?
Of course not. He gives us a roadmap for staying ahead of the game.
Okay, lay it on me.
One of the things that really stood out to me was his emphasis on building a strong marketing infrastructure.
What does that mean exactly?
It's not about these one-off campaigns or quick fixes. It's about building a system that consistently generates leads and nurtures those relationships over time.
So it's like creating a well-oiled marketing machine.
Exactly. And he goes deeper into those before, during, and after phases we talked about earlier. Mapping out that customer journey in detail.
Okay, yeah, remind me what those phases are all about again.
So before, that's all about attracting those potential customers who might not even know about you yet.
So that's where targeted advertising comes in, right?
Yes. And crafting those compelling offers.
And we need to really know our audience, right?
Absolutely. You got to speak their language.
Yeah.
Then during the during phase, the focus shifts to nurturing those leads, building relationships, positioning yourself as that trusted expert.
So we might use email marketing, valuable content, maybe even some of that lumpy mail we talked about.
Exactly. You're building trust and showing them why you're the best choice.
Okay, and then finally we reach the after phase.
And that's all about exceeding expectations, turning those customers into raving fans and encouraging those valuable referrals.
Create a truly remarkable experience.
Exactly. And Dib doesn't shy away from those trickier aspects of customer relationships either.
Oh, like what?
He even suggests, and this might sound counterintuitive, but he suggests that sometimes you need to fire your customers.
Wait, what? Fire them?
I know, it sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But he's talking about those toxic customers, the ones who drain your resources, create unnecessary drama.
Cost you more than they make you.
Exactly. He calls them vampires and churners.
I kind of love that.
Right. And by letting go of those energy vampires, he argues, you create space for those ideal clients, the ones who genuinely value what you offer, and who you actually enjoy working with.
It's about building a business that lights you up, not burns you out.
Exactly. And speaking of building a business, Dib gets really specific about crafting those irresistible offers.
Because discounts aren't always the answer, are they?
He says sometimes they're the worst thing you can do.
Interesting. So what does he suggest instead?
Adding value, creating scarcity, maybe even offering guarantees. Think about it. McDonald's doesn't offer a discount on their burgers.
They upsell you with fries. Would you like fries with that?
Exactly. Classic upselling. He also talks about getting creative with payment plans, financing options, especially for those bigger ticket items.
Smart. Make it easier for people to buy.
Exactly. And he even challenges this idea that you always have to be the cheapest option on the market.
Really? I've always struggled with pricing.
It's a common one.
Yeah.
But he argues that sometimes a higher price can actually attract a better client.
Interesting. Less price sensitive, maybe.
And it can even lead to fewer headaches down the road. And then, of course, he talks about the importance of building trust, establishing credibility before you even think about going in for the close.
So no hard selling.
He actually compares that approach to proposing on a first date.
Ooh, yeah, that's not going to end well.
Right. Talk about coming on too strong. Instead, he advocates for becoming a trusted advisor.
So guide your customers, don't pressure them.
Exactly. And build that relationship over time. He even talks about this legendary salesman, Joe Girard.
What did he do?
He sent handwritten greeting cards to every one of his customers every single month.
Wow. Talk about above and beyond.
It's about staying top of mind, but in a way that feels genuine, heartfelt. And Dib also talks about this really interesting tactic he calls ethical bribes.
Ethical bribes. What are those?
He's talking about offering something valuable, a free report, a video series, a discount code, in exchange for a prospect's contact information.
Ah, I see. So it's like a win-win.
Exactly. You get a lead, and they get something of value. And this all ties back to creating that marketing infrastructure. We talked about those systems in place to consistently generate leads, nurture those relationships, and turn those prospects into loyal, raving fans.
It's like building a well-oiled machine where every part works together.
Exactly. And Dib is a huge advocate for measuring your results, making data-driven decisions.
So it's not just about doing things, it's about doing the things that actually work.
Yes. Know your numbers.
I like it. What else? What else? Dib throws so much good stuff at us in this book.
He really does. One thing that really resonated with me was his discussion about creating a tribe of raving fans around your brand.
Oh, a tribe. I love that. What does he mean?
He's talking about building a community.
Where everybody feels like they belong.
Exactly. And turning those customers into passionate advocates who not only love your products or services,
but they believe in your mission.
yes.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating true loyalty, not just chasing those one-off transactions. It's about creating a movement, something bigger than just buying a product or service.
It's about making people feel like they're part of something special.
Exactly. And that ties back to that idea of becoming a voice of value, right?
Right. Sharing your expertise, becoming a thought leader. Dib is such a proponent of that.
He really is. He wants us to embrace content marketing, share our knowledge, whether it's through blog posts, articles, videos. He even suggests public speaking.
Put yourself out there. I like it. You know, it's interesting that he keeps coming back to this idea of an exit strategy.
It can feel a bit daunting at times, right?
Especially at the beginning. Like, shouldn't we focus on getting customers first?
He argues that even if we never intend to sell our businesses, we should structure them in a way that makes them attractive to potential buyers.
So building something sustainable, something that can thrive even without us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that our businesses are valuable assets, even if we never cash in on that value.
And then, of course, there's that constant emphasis on maximizing customer lifetime value.
Can't forget about that. He's all about finding new and creative ways to keep providing value, strategically raising prices.
Still makes me nervous.
I know. But think about it. Sometimes a higher price attracts a better client.
True, true.
And upselling, reactivating past customers, it's all about nurturing those relationships over the long haul.
Right, staying top of mind, but in a way that feels authentic.
Exactly. And speaking of authentic, we've got to talk about Dib's tips for generating referrals. He says we need to be proactive.
Don't just hope for the best.
Exactly. Ask directly, offer incentives, make it easy for them to spread the word.
Harness that word of mouth power. So we've covered a lot of ground here, niching down, crafting a killer USP, those irresistible offers.
Becoming a voice of value, building those systems.
Planning our exit strategy,
Yeah.
maximizing customer lifetime value.
It's a lot to process.
Dib really packs it in, doesn't he? Practical, actionable advice. What really struck me was how he wasn't afraid to be blunt.
Oh yeah, tough love.
But it's the kind of tough love every entrepreneur needs to hear. And I loved how he used those stories, those analogies.
So memorable.
It's like having a conversation with a friend who's read all the business books and is giving you the Cliff's Notes version.
The best kind of friend.
Absolutely. So For our listener out there who brought us this book, what resonated most with you? What's the one thing you're going to implement in your business today? Head over to our website and tell us all about it. We'd love to hear from you.